Week 3 Day 1. Loathe to hate, despise, look down sense I loathe spinach but I love other green vegetables sense loathe, verb. To hate someone or something, from an early age the brothers have loathed each other. Do you like fish? No, I loathe it. Plus ing form of verb I loathe doing housework. Reprimand to show sharp disapproval sense when Ed arrived late, he knew that the grocer reprimand him sense reprimand. Verb, formal. To express to someone your strong official disapproval of them, she was reprimanded by her teacher for biting another girl. Reprimand. Noun. His boss gave him a severe reprimand for being late. Lackluster dull sense speaking in a monotone, the politician was booed for his lackluster address sense lackluster UK, us lackluster. Adjective. Lacking energy and effort, Britain's #1 tennis player gave a disappointingly lackluster performance. Caustic sarcastic, biting sense in a caustic article, the drama critic slaughtered the hapless actor sense caustic chemical. Adjective. Describes a chemical that burns or destroys things, especially anything made of living cells, a caustic substance sense caustic words. Adjective. Describes a remark or way of speaking that is hurtful, critical or intentionally unkind, caustic comments. She's famous in the office for her caustic wit. Caustically. Adverb. Wrest take by force sense with the help of his brothers he was able to wrest the leadership of the company from his partner sense wrest. Verb T plus adverb or preposition. 1. Formal to obtain something with effort or difficulty, the shareholders are planning to wrest control of the company away from the current directors. 2. To violently pull something away from someone, he wrested the letter from my grasp. Crocodile tears insincere tears crocodiles were said to cry while eating their prey. Hypocritical sympathy sense when the football player broke his leg, his substitute wept crocodile tears. The pep talk. If there's one thing I loathe, the coach said, it's a quitter. He had good reason to reprimand us at halftime, because the scoreboard revealed that we were losing, 4,520. Our lackluster performance indicated to him that we had forgotten the rudimentary aspects of basketball. His caustic remarks fired us up, however, and we dashed out, determined to wrest control of the game from our rivals. Week 3 Day 2. Infamous having a bad reputation since the bombing of Pearl Harbor was referred to as an infamous deed since infamous. Adjective. Famous for something considered bad, the list included the infamous George Drake, a double murderer. He's infamous for his bigoted sense of humor. Infamy. Noun. Formal. 1. When someone or something is famous for something considered bad, Franklin D. Roosevelt described the bombing of Pearl Harbor in 1947 as a day that will live in infamy. 2. See a bad and shocking act or event. For the relatives of those who had died in the war, the final infamy was the pardoning of the draft dodgers. Jostle to shove hard sense. When he attempted to jostle the old lady, she struck him with her umbrella sense jostle. Verb. To knock or push roughly against someone, in order to move past them or get more space. When you are in a crowd of people, as we came into the arena, we were jostled by fans pushing their way towards the stage. Photographers jostled and shoved to get a better view of the royal couple. Jostling. Noun. Jostling. Adjective. A crowd of jostling reporters sense jostle for something. Phrasal verb. If people jostle for something, they compete with each other in order to get what they want. Since the fall of the government, the two opposition parties have been jostling for position. Dupe. A person easily tricked sense the wealthy dupe consented to buy the often sold Brooklyn Bridge sense dupe. Verb. To deceive someone, usually making them do something they did not intend to do. The girls were duped by drug smugglers into carrying heroin for them. Dupe. Noun. Someone who has been tricked, an innocent dupe. Incipient just beginning to exist sense by telling the truth, we stopped the incipient rumored from spreading sense incipient. Adjective. Just beginning, signs of incipient public frustration. Inadvertent heedless, not attentive sense through an inadvertent error, the guided missiles sped out of control sense inadvertent. Adjective. Done unintentionally, all authors need to be wary of inadvertent copying of other people's ideas. Inadvertently. Adverb. Inadvertence. Noun. To carry the day, to win the approval of the majority. To win the honor. Since the secretary's motion that we adjourn for lunch carried the day, and we headed for the restaurant. The handcuff is quicker than the eye. Slippery Eddie, the infamous pickpocket, was back at work, and every detective had to be especially vigilant. Eddie's technique was to jostle a victim toward a confederate, who would then slip the man's wallet out of his back pocket, while Eddie was stammering an apology to the confused dupe. Within a week the incipient crime wave came to an end, when Slippery Eddie inadvertently chose the chief of police for his victim. Although Eddie Losing, it's his permanent address now. Week 3 Day 3. Ominous threatening sense. After the weatherman had seen the ominous clouds, he prognosticated rain. Sense omen, noun. Something that is considered to be a sign of how a future event will take place. England's victory over France is a good omen for next week's match against Germany. A bad omen. Many people believe that a broken mirror is an omen of bad luck. Ominous, adjective. Suggesting that something unpleasant is likely to happen. There was an ominous silence when I asked whether my contract was going to be renewed. The engine had been making an ominous sound all the way from London. Ominous dark clouds. Ominously, adverb. I went into the kitchen, and found him lying ominously still on the floor. Tremulous quivering. Since the widow's tremulous hands revealed 3/4 E superscript 2, E superscript 2 her nervousness. Sense tremor, noun. 1. A slight shaking movement in a person's body, especially because of nervousness or excitement. The disease mostly affects people over 50, causing paralysis and uncontrollable tremors. There was a slight tremor in her voice. Figurative. A tremor of excitement went through the audience as he came on stage. 2. A slight earthquake. The tremor was centered just south of San Francisco, and was felt as far as 200 miles away. Tremulous. Adjective, literary. If a person's voice or a part of their body is tremulous, it is shaking slightly. He watched her tremulous hand reach for the teacup. In a tremulous voice she whispered, "Who are you people?" Tremulously. Adverb. Repudiate. To reject, decline. Since the general attempted to repudiate the testimony of the lieutenant, claiming that the young officer was not an authority on low-level bombing. Sense repudiate. Verb. Formal. To refuse to accept something or someone as true, good or reasonable. He repudiated the allegation claim that he had tried to deceive them. I utterly repudiate those remarks. Repudiation. Noun. They were surprised by his sudden repudiation of all his former beliefs. Cessation. A stopping. Since the cessation of the bombing in Yugoslavia was urged by the Pope. Since cessation. Noun. Formal. Ending or stopping. Religious leaders have called for a total cessation of the bombing campaign. See also cease. Bristles. Stiffen with fear or anger. Since upon seeing the snake, the cat began to bristle with fear. Since bristle. Noun. 1. See a short stiff hair, usually one of many. The old woman had a few gray bristles sprouting from her chin. 2. See or you. The bristles of a brush are the stiff hairs or hair-like pieces of plastic, which are attached to it. The best quality men's shaving brushes are made from badger bristle. My toothbrush has blue and white plastic bristles. Bristle. Verb. 1. I have hair to stand up. The cat's fur bristled and it arched its back. 2. To react angrily, she bristled at the suggestion that she had in any way neglected the child. Bristly. Adjective. He had furry eyebrows and bristly short, sticking up hair. Cropped short. Sense bristle with sth. Phrasal verb. To have a large amount of something, or to be full of something. The helicopter hovered above them bristling with machine guns. Skid Row. Disreputable part of town, inhabited by derelicts and people on a skid. Run-down district. Since the presence of so many bars has turned our neighborhood into another Skid Row. Courtroom drama. There was an ominous silence when the jittery defendant rose in court. He explained in a tremulous voice what had led him to repudiate his confession made at the police station on the night of the crime. The audience began to buzz excitedly until the judge demanded a cessation of the noise. Although the district attorney bristled with anger, the defendant kept insisting that his rights had been violated, because he had not been told that he could see a lawyer before confessing. Week 3 Day 4. Euphemism. A less offensive term since the word expired is a euphemism for died. Since euphemism. Noun. A word or phrase used to avoid saying an unpleasant or offensive word. Senior citizen is a euphemism for old person. The article made so much use of euphemism, that often its meaning was unclear. Euphemistic. Adjective. Euphemistically. Adverb. Mundane. Worldly. Since the philosopher dealt with spiritual things, ignoring the mundane ones. Mundane. Adjective. Very ordinary and therefore not interesting. Mundane matters such as paying bills and shopping for food do not interest her. Incongruous. Inappropriate. Since the play was so incongruous, that it seemed to be the work of several authors. Since incongruous. Adjective. Unusual or different from the surroundings or from what is generally happening. The new computer looked incongruous in the dark book-filled library. It seems incongruous to have a woman as the editor of a men's magazine. Incongruity. Noun. Formal. When something is incongruous. Condolence. Pity. Since when my neighbor's dog was run over, we sent a condolence card. Since condolence. Noun. Sympathy and sadness for the family or close friends of a person who has recently died, or an expression of this, especially in written form, a letter of condolence. Dignitaries from all over the world came to offer their condolences. Stipulate. To specify a condition. Since we repudiated turned down the contract, because it did not stipulate a cost of living bonus. Since stipulate. Verb. Formal. To state exactly how something must be or must be done. She agreed to buy the car, but stipulated racing tires and a turbo-powered engine. Plus that the law stipulates that new cars must have seat belts for the driver and every passenger. Plus question word. We have signed a contract, which stipulates when the project must be completed. Stipulation. Noun. Formal. When someone says exactly how something must be done, is there any stipulation as regards qualifications? Plus that the only stipulation is that candidates must be over the age of 35. To go up in smoke. To come to no practical result. Kindling smokes but it will not light a fire. And fruitlessly. Since the mayor's plans to get the gubernatorial nomination went up in smoke, when he couldn't end the costly strike. Call me by my right name. My cousin refers to himself as a sanitary engineer, a euphemism for garbage collector. There are any number of people who try to find more respectable, or glamorous titles for the mundane jobs they hold. It may seem incongruous to call an undertaker a condolence counselor, or to refer to a taxi driver as a transportation expediter, but some prefer those titles. As a matter of fact, our butcher has stipulated that from now on he wants to be known as a meat coordinator. He became irate when I inadvertently called him Butch. Week 3 Day 5. Desert Storm Decision. In the 1991 Persian Gulf War, where the United Nations forces, led by Americans, ousted the invading Iraqi army from Kuwait's Seoul, the cessation of combat took place in short order after the Allies were able to wrest control of the skies from the infamous Saddam Hussein's Air Force. General H. Norman Schwarzkopf, the U.S. field commander, tended to bristle when asked by the media why he hadn't pursued the enemy all the way to Baghdad, saying, "It would have been foolhardy for us to try to occupy that capital city and pile up American casualties from sniper attacks by Iraq's guerrillas. That may be hard for you Monday morning quarterbacks to understand, but I thoroughly agreed with the president, who was convinced that such an action would have sent a bad message to the Arab world, and would have splintered the Allied partnership." Schwarzkopf reiterated that it was his mission to hurl back the invaders with a minimum of bloodshed, but not, he added in a caustic tone, to splatter Saddam over the desert sands. The dictator's days are numbered, the general concluded, but I expect his end is likely to come at the hands of his own people.